I'm feeling a little festive today. I feel like something's very, very important about today. I don't even know if the audio is picking up from here, but I feel like there's something missing from today. That I should be wearing something because there's something special happening tonight. There we go. And ignore the Raptor shorts. They're nice, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year, the great time. The Toronto Maple Leafs are finally going to be back in action tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. So in this video, I was initially going to do it as like a roster preview a couple of days ago, but obviously that time passed. I was busy with stuff, to be honest with you. Life kind of just got in the way. So I kind of just wanted to make a video like this with as minimal cuts as possible, just kind of expressing my thoughts out of how I think this season is going to go and just my overall thoughts about this team going forward as opposed to other years. Of course, I've been very vocal about my opinions on Instagram through my posts and whatnot. I had my big post at the end of the year where I explained how I felt about that Tampa series and it being a new beginning. And to be fair, that opinion has kind of changed. I don't know, over the summer, the more and more I looked at it, it was just like, this isn't really a new beginning, though. Yes, it's an off season, a new season, new players, many old faces, though, and it just feels like now it's kind of going in a circle here, and I feel like many Leaf fans can relate to me on that. So, of course, going into this season, there's going to be the expectation that the Leafs are going to be good. They're going to be competing. I think the question of whether or not they will make the playoffs, I think that is a definite yes. Things would have to go really catastrophic for this team to not make the playoffs this year. And I know a lot of people are really worried about the Matt Murray-Ilya Samsonov tandem. But to be honest with you, when I seen both of them, okay, I thought the Murray thing was a little risky. But Murray can bounce back. He's been a good goalie in this league before. And his underlying numbers in Ottawa were not that bad. If you look at them and you take into consideration that he played in front of a really poor defense in Ottawa, he was injured for most of that time. And then you look at his time in Pittsburgh, where albeit he did have his lapses, he was still a very solid goalie. He did backstop 2 Stanley Cups, I'm pretty sure, if not 1. So yeah, and then the Samsonov one, it's a buy low risk. It's a 1 by 1 year deal. I like Samsonov, to be fair, and I really hope he rediscovers his game in Toronto, whether it be through a 1B or 1A starter or just as a backup, because I'm really rooting for that guy. I really liked him when he really came into his own in Washington, and I really did think to myself that, you know, he could be the future of the Capitals, but obviously that didn't happen. Now they have Kemper, and I'm just now going into a whole thing about the Washington Capitals. I should do a video on that, though, because I do have a lot of opinions about the Washington Capitals and how Ilya Samsonov kind of failed there in a way, and maybe that's connected to just the direction of the team. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking about the Capitals. This is about the Leafs. So yeah, going into this season, what are my opinions on this team? How has my opinion on this Leafs core changed? And I shouldn't really say changed, because I still do think that this team is very good. It's very deep. It has a very good offense, a very good defense, a defense that we have been waiting for a long time, especially during those early years of the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era, where we had Riley Hainsey, Muzzin, Zaitsev, Gardner Zaitsev, if you're really pushing it, and then it was Dermot Hall or Dermot somebody else on the back there with him. Dermot, I don't remember who else it was. It was so long ago. It's only a few years, but still. But now the defense has almost become a strength, and you still have guys like Victor Mete in the wings. Obviously, Liljegren isn't going to be starting right away. I know he's hurt. I think Sandin made the opening night roster. He might be injured. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But the defense is going to be good this year. I expect it to be. Once again, I already touched on the goaltending and the offense as well. But it kind of feels like, I feel like Leaf fans say this every year, this is the year that they have to finally break through. A lot of Leaf fans have this vision that this team is supposed to be this incredible team that tears through the East, makes it to the playoffs, and proves themselves as worthy. We've had this image that this team is going to break through. They're going to break through. The only year where I can really think to myself where I wasn't disappointed by a playoff loss was against Washington, when this core really came into its own. And obviously, That's a long time ago, and there are a lot of players who are not on that roster anymore. So we've had numerous disappointments in the playoffs over the last couple of years now. Twice against Boston, against the Columbus Blue Jackets, against the Montreal Canadiens, where that really, and I guess I'll touch on it in this video because I don't know when I'm going to touch on it, but that Montreal series for me was a real turning point for me, where that series really broke me, and it really messed up my summer. I'll be completely honest with you. It was I would just sit there. I can't believe they blew it. And maybe that's a little pathetic of me to put so much into this team, how much I care about this team. But that was a year where it was almost like everything was handed to you on a silver platter. You had the Stanley Cup in your grasp and you blew it. And that was really the year where I said I can't put that much in this. I can't let them ruin my summer again. I can't let them put me through this pain where I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. I'm so heartbroken. I don't want to watch the rest of the playoffs or whatever it may be. Coming into last season, through the first game, I remember after the first game against Montreal, yeah, they beat them, but I was like, I'm doing this again. Like I'm going through the same motions I did last year. I'm gonna watch this team, gonna do it, and then somewhere through there, I began to, once again, I guess the Leaf delusions kick in again, where it's, oh my God, they look good. Oh my God, they're cup contenders. Oh my God, they're this. Oh my God, they're that. Oh my God, they can win a round. They can't win the Stanley Cup, they'll win a round. And we get versus Tampa, and the Leafs, they go back and forth with Tampa. And to be honest with you, that is the most impressive series I've seen them play. I know a lot of people will say the Boston one. Both of the Boston ones, they'll say, where it was a really tough series. But that series versus Tampa, the reason why I said it was a new beginning was because that team, they didn't choke. And I know that they blew a 3-2 series lead, and then they blew that lead in Game 6. But that was more circumstance than anything. You know, it was a bad penalty. It was a bad this. It was a whatever. Everyone's going to look back at that pick and roll, I'll call it, from Justin Hall and say, if only that one didn't come back. But that series right there, that series for me right there, the reason why I called it a new beginning was because they fought every single game and the effort was there every single game. That team wanted to win so badly. They wanted to shut down that narrative. It was so damn prevalent. And yes, I was heartbroken when they lost because they put everything out there. That team put everything on the line. And they still came up short against arguably the best team in the NHL. And there's nothing more you could have asked of them in that series, where they really gave it their all. You can't look at them. You can't look at that series like you did with the Montreal series and say that they blew it. You can't look at it like every other series, in my opinion. That series there was what I wanted to see maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so now going into this season, it's kind of the same narrative. I know I said that my opinion changed, and it kind of did, where how much longer is this going to last? How much longer are we going to get so excited for this team over the regular season, slowly build up hype, only for them to fall short again? Is this team going to fall short again? That's going to be the narrative until it is broken. How long until this team finally breaks through? And the reason why I say this year is so important is because of the expiring deals that are in the near future. Obviously, the big one is Kyle Dubas. Dubas' deal is done at the end of the year. I've been very vocal about my support for Dubas. Every GM has their mishaps, but I have been a very vocal supporter of Kyle Dubas. I really like the way he sees the game, through his analytical stuff, through just how he constructs his teams. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of Sheldon Keefe. But if this team falls short again, MLSE is going to look at this and say, you have not been performing. You have not been meeting the bottom line. This team has not been successful. It's time to look in a new direction. And that could be Brendan Shanahan going out. That could be Kyle Dubas going out. That could be Sheldon Keefe going out. That could be that could be a big shakeup in management, and then for someone new to come in it would be a learning curve to create a totally, I wouldn't say totally new identity, but there would be a shakeup in how this new GM would see the game as opposed to Kyle Dubas, because this is Kyle Dubas' team that he has built from almost the ground up. And then the other big one is obviously Auston Matthews, who is due in 2 years. And that quote recently came out about how Dubas and Matthews are very close and how they're almost tied. So firing Dubas, getting rid of him, getting rid of the way he sees the game, would no doubt have an effect on whether or not Auston Matthews stays in Toronto. Because now the GM that he's put so much faith into, that has been there, who's been a leader towards him, I would say, in my opinion, is gone. He's no longer there. So the motive to leave Toronto now for Matthews is obviously much more. Of course, there's other things that go into it as well, but to me, it's very heavily tied to each other. Dubas' future and Matthews' future in Toronto. So this season, it's really make or break. This is the make or break time for the Leafs. This is your time to smash through the narrative, to make it out of the first round. I don't even think making it out of the first round would do it. I think that would buy Dubas some time, that would keep Matthews in Toronto, but the goal is to win a Stanley Cup. Is this team capable of winning it? I think so. Besides all the narratives, the Toronto Maple Leafs are a very good hockey team and are definitely up there among cup contenders. They just need to break through. Everyone talks about how every championship team has their boogeyman, has something to overcome. And I don't know if I've said this before, but I believe that boogeyman for the Leafs, as if it's not apparent, is the first round. I believe that once this team breaks through the first round, it's only a matter of time before a Stanley Cup is back in Toronto. Maybe that's just wishful thinking by me, but that's the way that I see it. And so my expectations in a nutshell for this team, they'll be very good during the regular season. Matthews will probably win another Rocket Richard. Marner will hit 100 points. Nylander, I think, will hit 80, something like that. The defense will be good. Offense will be good. This team is going to be good. That's not a question of whether or not they'll be good in the regular season. The question is more postseason, which is where you hit kind of a crossroads in my answer, because I could see both sides of it. I've probably just said both sides of it here. I'm probably not making much sense in my what I'm saying, but I'm just kind of voicing my thoughts here, just unedited, raw. And I wanted to do that before the season started, because I want to be able to come back to this and say, was I right in my assessment? Was I right in the way that I viewed this team? Were my expectations met? Were they not met? Is my assessment of this team correct? So it's obviously a fun time of year. Leafs are back in town, baby. I'm going to be watching the game tonight. Obviously, I'll have a post-game post on Buzzin' definitely for that. And like I said, this video just serves as me voicing my thoughts about this team going in just raw, unedited. If it's not making a lot of sense, I'm really sorry. I really wanted to get this out there to really show you my way of thinking, the way I see the game, the way I see the Leafs, the way I see hockey in general. So that'll be it for this one. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling. Go Leafs, go. They're back. The boys are back in town. Well, they're not back in town tonight. They're in Montreal. But still, go Leafs, go. Go Leafs, go. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow my Instagram. It's Buzzin' for Muzzin'. Y'all already know what it is. And I'll see y'all next time.